Welcome back to the Explainer. Today, we're zeroing in on the invisible engine that runs, well, pretty much everything around you. From the spin cycle on your washing machine and the change dispenser in your local vending machine, all the way up to complex artificial intelligence and the processor inside your computer. They all rely on one invisible engine, Finite State Machines, or FSMs. Now, I know that name might sound a little intimidating at first, but by the end of this Explainer, you're going to see exactly how they form the absolute backbone of digital control systems. Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to cover a few key things today. Beyond basic logic, anatomy of an FSM, everyday examples, Moore versus Mealy, the design process, and finally, the brains of modern tech. Sounds highly technical, I know, but trust me, we're going to demystify the whole shebang. All right, part one, beyond basic logic. We're looking at the limitations of standard logic gates and memory. So, to really wrap our heads around why we even need finite state machines, we kind of have to ask ourselves, why isn't pure logic enough? I mean, think about it. Logic gates make basic decisions, right? And memory stores information. But what actually happens when a system has to continuously react to a changing real-world environment over time? Well, the magic word here is context. Systems literally need to remember their current situation and then react differently depending on what happens next. Pure logic on its own, it's just too static. A dynamic, real-world system has to track exactly where it is in a sequence, its current situation, and then decide its next move based on that memory. And you know what? That exact limitation is what finite state machines were built to perfectly solve. Moving on to part two, anatomy of an FSM. Let's deconstruct this mathematical model. An FSM is basically built on three core components. The very first one is a state. A state is really just the current condition or mode of operation of a system at any given moment. The golden rule you got to remember here is that at any specific instant in time, the machine exists in exactly one state. Think of a traffic light. It's either red, yellow, or green. It's only ever in one of those conditions at a time. No in-betweens. Okay, so once you have a state, you obviously need a way to change it. And that brings us to component number two, the transition. This is simply the movement from one state to another. Like that traffic light changing from red to green, that's a transition. When you get right down to it, finite state machines are essentially just collections of these different states connected together by these transitions, which allows the system to shift its behaviors logically. And that leaves the third component, the event. An event is a specific trigger that actually makes the transition happen. It tells the FSM, hey, it's time to change states. Now, what's really fascinating here is how varied these events can be. We're talking about a timer expiring, you pressing a button, a physical sensor getting tripped, or even a message coming in over a network. Put them all together, the state, the transition, and the events, and you've got this perfect continuous decision loop. Which brings us to part three, everyday state machine examples. Let's look at how we see FSMs out in the real world. Let's go back to that traffic light. It's honestly one of the simplest FSM cycles out there. It starts in a red state, then an event happens. In this case, a timer runs out, which triggers a transition to green. Another timer shifts it to yellow, and boom, another timer brings it right back to red. It's a perfect loop. Instead of having an engineer manually manage a chaotic intersection with hundreds of variables, the FSM just forces clear, isolated steps. It creates completely predictable, rock-solid behavior. Now, an elevator needs to be a bit more dynamic, but the FSM handles all that human unpredictability beautifully. Picture it waiting in an idle state. The event here isn't a simple timer, it's a dynamic user input, someone pressing a floor request. That request transitions the elevator into a moving up or moving down state. Then a totally different event, like a physical sensor detecting the correct floor, triggers a whole new sequence of states, door opening, door open, and door closing. The system is just seamlessly responding to different types of triggers on the fly. And honestly, these things are everywhere. Washing machines use them to cycle from filling to washing to spinning. Vending machines and ATMs use FSMs to safely transition from waiting for your card to verifying your PIN to finally dispensing cash. Even the phone or computer you're using right now, it's using FSMs to transition from disconnected to connecting to streaming this very audio. Even high-tech robotics use them to sequence things like searching and grasping. They're literally the invisible choreographers of our physical and digital lives. All right, part four, Moore versus Mealy machines. These are the two major FSM categories. When engineers sit down to build these systems, they basically have to choose between two camps, the Moore machine or the Mealy machine. In a Moore machine, the system's outputs depend exclusively on the current state, so a red light state literally means a red light output. It's highly predictable and much simpler to design. But then you have the Mealy machine. Its outputs depend on the current state and the current inputs. Because the input directly influences the behavior right away, Mealy machines are incredibly responsive, and they often actually need fewer states to get the job done. Think of a vending machine instantly snapping into action the second you drop a coin in. That super fast, snappy response is classic Mealy machine behavior. Let's jump to part 5, the FSM design process, how we actually build structured behavior in engineering. So how do engineers actually go about building these? Well, it's a pretty rigorous 6-step methodology used across the industry. First, they map out the distinct states, figure out the inputs, and define the outputs. Then they wire all of that together by creating the transitions. To make sense of all this logic, they draw a state diagram. Those are those diagrams with all the circles and arrows you might have seen. And finally, that visual map gets translated directly into hardware code using languages like Verilog or VHDL. Now, I will say this process can be an absolute minefield for beginners. Engineers will pull their hair out creating way too many states, which just ends up being a tangled mess when they really should be striving to keep it simple. Or they'll introduce these massive, catastrophic bugs by just ignoring unexpected inputs. You absolutely have to handle error conditions. Failing to define transitions clearly is another one. It just creates pure ambiguity. And the ultimate cardinal sin? Confusing states with events. For all our focused learners out there, please remember, states are the conditions, but events are the triggers. Don't mix those up. Which brings us to our final section, part 6, the brains of modern tech, scaling from simple logic to artificial intelligence. Just look at how this whole digital architecture stacks up. Down at the absolute base, we've got simple logic gates and memory elements. Right above that, registers and clock signals to keep time. But smack in the middle, the core, we have finite state machines. FSMs organize all that chaotic low-level circuitry into actual structured behavior. And it's that structure that lets us build the high-level, modern processors, fetching instructions and managing cache. And at the absolute peak, artificial intelligence platforms. Even the most incredibly advanced autonomous systems rely on FSM frameworks to manage their high-level agent workflows and robot control systems, while the AI handles the deep thinking. It's all connected. So the crucial point is really captured perfectly in this one quote from our sources. FSMs are one of the key concepts that transform simple electronic circuits into intelligent systems. I mean, they hit the nail on the head, right? FSMs are exactly what gives hardware the ability to remember, to transition, and to act. They're the true heart of modern digital control. All of this leaves us with a pretty fascinating question. As our technology pushes further into an era of edge computing, smart factories, and massive industrial IoT networks, how are these finite state machines going to evolve to control the next generation of autonomous AI? It is an absolutely critical space to watch. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep this FSM architecture in the back of your mind because next time we're going to see exactly how this logic gets hard-coded into reconfigurable hardware as we dive headfirst into FPGA technology. Get you then.